Has humanity finally crossed the line into a world where machines can think, learn, and reason just like us? OpenAI has just revealed something huge, something that might be the closest we've ever come to artificial general intelligence. But are we really there yet? We're going to cover all of this today, so let's jump straight into it. So what you're seeing right now is an announcement from OpenAI released just yesterday, where they've released a series of new models for us to use. But these models are fundamentally different to what we've been used to up to now. We've developed a new series of AI models designed to spend more time thinking before they respond. Now guys, this is huge. Up until now, every single model that you've interacted with has answered every question in a reactive manner. What I mean by that is, imagine you have somebody throw a ball at you. You don't think about it, you just dodge. That's a natural reaction. That's how these models answer our questions. Now, imagine you're solving a complex math problem. And I know you guys probably hate math problems, but think with it. You have this math problem in front of you. You're not just going to come up with an answer instantly unless you're a genius. Now, what these new models do is they function exactly the same way as you would solving a math problem. So you would look at it, you would analyze it, you would think about it before writing down that answer. And that's exactly what they do. So they can reason through complex tasks and solve harder problems than previous models in science, coding, and math. Today we're releasing the first of this series in ChatGPT and our API. This is a preview and we expect regular updates and improvements. How it works: we train these models to spend more time thinking through problems before they respond, much like a person would. Through training, they learn to refine their thinking process, try different strategies, and recognize their mistakes. This is a huge step towards AGI, guys. Like, this is crazy. These things are going to be able to think like us eventually. In our tests, the next model update performs similarly to PhD students on challenging benchmark tasks in physics, chemistry, and biology. We also found that it excels in math and coding. Something to note is, as an early model, it doesn't yet have any of the features that make ChatGPT useful, like browsing the web for information and uploading files and images. So for your standard common use cases, you'll still use GPT-4o. So whom is this for? So this is particularly useful if you're trying to solve complex problems in science, coding, math, and similar fields. For example, this is what they say: 01 can be used by healthcare researchers to annotate cell sequencing data, by physicists to generate complicated mathematical formulas needed for quantum optics, and by developers in all fields to build and execute multi-step workflows. Because the knowledge gap is slowly decreasing. So somebody that doesn't know very much about coding using AI can actually build quite a lot these days. And now with these new models, very, very soon, you're going to be able to give it a simple prompt like, I want an app that connects to Shopify and does XYZ. And it will be able to reason and see what does it need to build to make this thing work. So they've released two models for us to use. One is 01 and the other one is 01 mini. So the 01 excels at accurately generating and debugging complex code. To offer a more efficient solution for developers, we're also releasing OpenAI 01 Mini, a faster, cheaper reasoning model that is particularly effective at coding. As a smaller model, 01 Mini is 80% cheaper than 01 Preview, which is really cool. As a developer, you're going to have access to this very, very soon. In fact, right now, if you check how to use OpenAI 01, it's actually available for GPT Plus and Team users. So if you're a GPT Plus or Team user, you should see it when you log into ChatGPT. So one thing to point out is, at the moment they do have a weekly rate limit, which is 30 messages for 01 Preview and 50 for 01 Mini. So these models are likely very expensive for them to run, and until they scale what they've built, we're going to have these limits to work with for the moment. So through the API, for the moment, you can only use it if you're on usage tier 5. So for most people, we're going to be on usage tier 1 or 2, for example. So we wouldn't be able to use them until a little bit later. So let's have a look at how these new models compare to GPT-4o. And we're actually going to jump into ChatGPT in a moment and actually run some tests ourselves. So according to this article released by OpenAI, OpenAI 01 ranks in the 89th percentile on competitive programming questions, code forces, places among the top 500 students in the US in a qualifier for the USA Math Olympiad, and exceeds human PhD level accuracy on a benchmark of physics, biology, and chemistry problems. So in other words, this model model is extremely smart. And they say our large-scale reinforcement learning algorithm, and by the way guys, reinforcement learning is just a way that they teach these models by having them reason and then giving them feedback as to like rewards and penalties. Your reasoning is correct or incorrect, and the model learns this way. Our large-scale reinforcement learning algorithm teaches the model how to think productively using its chain of thought in a highly data-efficient training process. We have found that the performance of 0-1 consistently improves with more reinforcement learning, train time compute, this is when they train the model, and with more time spent thinking, test time compute. This is, you'll see it in a sec when we actually run this, the model takes a little bit of time to think before it answers. So you can see here on these graphs, the accuracy increases during training. So the more training time this model gets, the more its accuracy increases, as well as test time, which is the time it spends thinking after you've asked it a question. So the more time it spends thinking, the more the accuracy increases. So let's look at some of the evaluations. To highlight the reasoning improvement over GPT-4o, we tested our models on a diverse set of human exams and machine learning benchmarks. So here we see it. Competitive math. GPT-4o scored 13.4. 0-1 preview, by the way, 0-1 preview is the model that's currently available for us to use. We don't actually have access to 0-1 yet. So as you can see, 0-1 preview in math specifically is much better than GPT-4o. And then 0-1 obviously blows both of them out of the water. Same thing with code. And this is extremely exciting, especially if you're a developer. So GPT-4o already codes very well, relatively speaking. Now 0-1 preview, according to this, is 6 times better. And 0-1 is almost 9 times better. Then you have science. So as you can see, both of these models are quite a bit better than 4o. And over here you can see in the machine learning benchmarks, the PhD level science questions, this right here is the improvement that 0-1 has over GPT-4o. So this is all really cool. Let's actually see this thing in action. I'm going to test it and we're going to see how it actually performs. So let's jump into ChatGPT. Okay, so we're going to do 2 tests here, both in 4o and 0-1, to see how they perform against each other. So the first test is actually to build a Tetris game. I see this used quite commonly, so let's see how both perform. So the first one we're going to do is 4o, and here's the prompt. Build me a Tetris game using JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Keep it in one file. Make sure it has the below. It's visually appealing, it's big, it's not extremely slow, and that you can move the blocks using WASD. And then I added a line here saying make sure to test it before giving me the code to ensure that it works. So let's see how this performs. So you can see the output is quite slow with 4o. So we're just going to wait for this to finish. Alright, so that's done. I would say that took about 1.5 minutes to actually generate all this code. So let's copy this and let's go over into our code editor. Now I've created a file for GPT-4o test and 0-1 test. So let's see how 4o performs. So I'm going to paste the code and let's see what this looks like. Oh my goodness. There's a little block over here. I don't know what this is. It's like I'm playing in the corner of this Tetris game. But you can see there's some stuff coming here. Yeah, I mean, not very impressive so far. So let's see how 0-1 performs. Alright, we're in 0-1 preview here. I'm going to give it exactly the same prompt and let's see how it performs. So it says that it's thinking. And you can actually see its reasoning right here, assessing the requirements, putting together the code, crafting the game. This is actually pretty cool. You can see how it thinks. Oh wow, and it's actually outputting the code extremely fast. So, you know, even with its reasoning, it's quite a bit faster than 4o at least for this specific use case. Like I was still waiting for this code to be generated by 4o at this point. I'd say it was about 1/4 of the time that it took 4o to generate the code. So let's see if this works. I'm going to copy the code. Let's go to our 0-1 test. It's going to kill the previous session. And let's see what this looks like. Okay, I'm using WASD. That's working. This is pretty cool. Nice. All right. This is great so far. All right, well, unfortunately, I don't know how to play Tetris. So this is as far as we're going to go with the Tetris game. But so far, I'm quite impressed by this. Alright, so we're back to 4o and this is going to be our second test. So this one is going to be one of logic. So we have a problem here. Peter has 5 candles that are all the same length. He lights them all at the same time. After a while, he blows out the candles one after the other. Which of the 5 candles was the first one he has blown out? Here is a figure of the 5 candles after they have been blown out. The number of equal signs represents the length of the candle. Respond with the label of the candle that has been blown out first by Peter. And this is a simple problem actually. If you have candles burning, the first one that you're going to blow out is going to stay the longest because that one has spent the least amount of time burning. So let's see how 4o does with this problem. So as you can see right here, it says the candle that Peter blew out first is candle 4, as it is the shortest one with just one equal sign, meaning it must have burnt the longest before being blown out. That doesn't really make sense because the question was which one did he blow out first? The first one would be the one that has spent the least amount of time burning. So that's one less point for 4o. Let's try O1. Alright, we're back in O1 preview. Let's give it the exact same problem and see how it does. Alright, it's thinking about it, mapping out the solution. Let's see, oh wow, that was actually a short answer. Let's see its thought process. I'm outlining Peter's candle lighting scenario where he extinguishes them one by one. By examining the remaining length, I'll identify the sequence of extinguishing, deciphering burnt candles. I'm examining Peter's candles, noting that they burn as Peter extinguishes them one by one. The length of the candles reflects the burning pattern, with the shortest indicating the longest burn. So it came to that conclusion, where 4o didn't. So candle 3 is the answer, and that indeed is correct. That's the longest candle, so that's the first one that was blown out first. So this is huge, guys. This is one step closer to AGI. We're getting really close. It's actually quite scary and exciting to live in this world, knowing that you can do this. Alright, well, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know your experiences down in the comments with this new model. I'd like to know what have you tried, what has worked and what hasn't, what do you like and what you don't. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.